Good morning, YouTube. It's time for a trade breakdown again. Something that I shared in my YouTube um, community chat tab. I shared the setup before it happened, and I just want to quickly run over and explain to you why I expected buyers and why I took that buy trade that I shared in that morning on Wednesday, the 9th of March. So this was the daily time frame. I was expecting price to move higher into this imbalance and to see GU rebalance inside this imbalance that was created on the daily time frame. So with that being said, I'm then looking for price on the lower time frames to create a pattern or a certain formation for us then to take longs back into this imbalance area. Overall, we are bearish. You can see it's bearish, but we are down, rather down low in a discount. So I'm looking for price to move from a discount to a premium. If you just look at the past day and so the 2 days ago, you can see that there's the high and there's a low, and you can see from this sequence, this trading range, we are in the discount, and I'm looking for price to trade back up into the premium, and this imbalance falls nicely into this premium section of this trading range. So that being said, dropping down to the 1 hour, we'll be going over and showing you exactly what I was looking at to take that trade. Okay, so here we are on the 1 hour time frame, and I'm going to mention a few things that you can take note of and make sure you make notes of, and this write it down, put it something down there where you can remember it and look back on it and learn from it. So what I just wanted to show you here is this is where the new daily candle started. So if we just pay a little bit of attention to where the actual daily candle started, we just draw a line out, and we can see that price traded below it. So this is then already potentially the daily wick of the new candle. So if this is the wick for the new candle and price is trading towards the upside, then that is probably the body of the candle being created. And now I'm looking for liquidity with inside this range to take a long off of. So as I said, we're looking for the liquidity with inside this range. So what we noticed is we see there we have a previous low. So I'm just calling that 1H liquidity. And I'm looking for price to potentially drop below this area and then trade further towards the upside. So that's the idea. That's the framework that I'm looking at. So we know that we want to see price trade back. We see price trade into this buy side liquidity, and also it's the low of that imbalance on the daily time frame marked out in those red boxes lines. So we're looking for price to drop down and then continue further towards the upside. So let's have a quick look at the 15-minute time frame. This is where it gets important. So now, a few things that we teach in the community is liquidity profiles, and some of sorry about the dogs, but some of the things that we're looking at is order blocks. So we have this order block that creates demand. We have this liquidity below these lows, and then we have a small amount of imbalance here on the left hand side, which is important as well. So the expectation is for price to drop down into this area, fill the imbalance, clean the lows, and then we want to see price straight back up towards the upside into this area. So that was the expectation, shared in the morning, shared on the community tab. Every now and again, I'll try to share some trade ideas that I have in there. So make sure you have notifications turned on and make sure you've subscribed to not miss any of those potential trade ideas. So what gave me more confluence and confirmation is that this is where the daily candle started. So that's the daily open. So we traded below, we created the wick. Now we're trading above, so in the body. I'm looking for liquidity inside the body for price to then continue further towards the upside and expand towards the upside. So you all know, you've probably been familiar with the formation of a daily candle. So if not, then we can probably make a video on that as well. Let me know down in the comments. So we want to see price drop down lower and then see price expanding further back towards the upside. So my initial target was the sell side liquidity above this high. So we want to see price trade back up into these highs before continuing further towards the upside. So on this time frame, on the 15-minute, you can also see this trending market. So we're just trying to get in at a new higher low for price to then see price continue further towards the upside. So let's have a quick look at the 5-minute. The 5-minute was relatively similar view. We can see that price created these equal lows as well, so that's another reason for price to go lower. Very nice equal lows, which is also the 1 hour low. And this is what's important, is to take note of the highs and lows just before a session opening or before a session ending. So in this case, Asian session ended at 7 p.m. AM GMT plus 2. So I'm looking for the lows just prior to that. We can see those lows. And it's also the Asian lows then. So that's the important thing, the Asian lows. So in this case, we have the Asian lows as well. And we know there's always liquidity above and below the Asian session. So if we have an Asian session, we know there's liquidity above and liquidity below. So this is just a classic movement where price sweeps the liquidity below the Asian low and then continues in its intended direction. But we've applied a few other concepts in this area as well. Now in terms of stop loss, so you can have a 6 pip stop loss, something like this. So this was kind of the idea, making sure we're getting in. I'm not that worried about having too large of a stop loss. And this is going to come in when I do my video, what's wrong with smart money concepts. And I'm going to touch on a few sensitive topics. So I'm just still preparing and getting all the information that I need and making sure I'm going to make a good content video. But that's something that I want to discuss later on. So this is the trade idea. And then obviously I'm using bar replay mode now, but we got tagged into the trade very beautifully, and a nice expansion towards the upside. Then we take your first partial, so we use secure the trade and make sure that you don't lose anything is at these highs where the buy side liquidity is. Why? Because there's liquidity resting above this high. There's people that sold here. And if they sold here, their stop losses is in here. If there's stop losses in there, that's an area for price to run to grab liquidity. Basic liquidity concepts. And we can see price tapped into this and we see a reaction towards the downside, showing that there was that liquidity above it, because you can see the wick towards the downside, and ultimately price traded towards the upside, a bit of a pullback, and then smashed through the take profit area. So in terms of scaling in, let's just have a quick look at scaling in opportunities, because there was one in this area as well that we're going to have a quick look at. So let's go to the 1 minute time frame. So we can see this candle over here was a very good scaling opportunity. Why this candle? Why not waiting for price to go lower down here? Well, just primarily because that's the last down closing candle in this uptrend. So on the seconds, you'll see a very clean, clear uptrend. You can see price created a high, higher low, high, higher low, high, and so on. So where's the last in this uptrend? Where's the last higher low? Well, this is the last higher low. And then in this higher low, we see the last down candle before the move towards the upside that broke structure. So there is your structure break towards the upside. There's your down candle, which is your demand. Then what's nice about this one is this demand took liquidity as well to the left, swept the lows between those lows. So this is a very valuable demand area. And if you want to be more precise, you just take the wick, and then that is your scaling trade with your stop loss below. Where do you aim for? Well, still the same target, still targeting these highs for another 8.6. But this is where my problem is with smart money concepts. But I'll explain more on that later, because I can show you this now. You can be amazed and think, wow, that's wonderful. This is the holy grail of trading. But there's a catch to it. But more to come on that in the next one. So that's all I wanted to share today, is this trade recap and sharing you how I analyzed this trade and why I took this trade and why I shared it and why I thought it was highly probable that price will reach up into that area, guys. So that's it from my side. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful Friday, and see you all in the next one. Cheers.